Fractions have a property called the density property. And that is, between any two fractions, there is actually an infinite number of fractions between them. So, for instance, what this is saying is that if you let a over b and c over d be any two fractions, where a over b is smaller than c over d, then there has to be a fraction in between them, such that a over b is less than e over f, which is less than c over d. And there's actually an infinite number of fractions between them. So how can you find some fractions that are between two fractions? Well, suppose you want to find a fraction that are between two other fractions, such as 2/3 and 3/4. One method is to get a common denominator. Not necessarily the least common denominator, just you want a denominator you want it to be large enough where you can see differences between them. So, for instance, like 2/3 is the same thing as 80 over 120, if I multiply the top and bottom by 40. 3/4 is the same thing as 90 over 120, if I multiply top and bottom by 30. And now between 80 over 120 and 90 over 120, you can find some fractions like 85 over 120. So I know 85 over 120 would be between 2/3 and 3/4. A quicker way is just to add the numerators together and add the denominators together. And that when you do that, that number is always going to be between the two. It's basically like an average of the two fractions. So between 2/3 and 3/4, a fraction like 2 plus 3 or 5, the denominator being 3 plus 4 or 7, fraction 5/7 is always going to would be between 2/3 and 3/4. So for instance, if let's say I want to find several rational numbers between these 2/3 and 3/4. So start off with 2/3 and 3/4. And we already found one where we just add the numerators together. So 2 plus 3 is 5, 3 plus 4 is 7. That's in between them. If I want to find something between 2/3 and 5/7, well, 2 plus 5 is 7, and 3 plus 7 is 10. 7/10 is between them. If I want to find a third one, between 5 and 3 is 8, and 7 plus 4 is 11. 8/11 is between 5/7 and 3/4, and so on. If we want to do it between 37 over 83 and 43 over 91, well, I certainly would not want to find the least common denominator for this one, or common denominator for this. I guess it can work, but simpler just to add the numerators together. So 37 plus 43 is 70 is 80. And then 83 plus 91 is 174. And then if I want to find another one, let's say between 80 and 83, 80 over 174 and 43 over 91. If I add the numerators together, that's 123. If I add the denominators together, that's 265. If I want to find a third one, between 37 83rds and 80 over 174, that would be 117 on top, and then 83 plus 174 is 257. And you can keep doing that to find as many fractions as you want.